Hi folks, welcome back to the Hoard. Oh, there we are. Got a green light and everything on. Tomorrow, we're supposed to get some rain, snow, ice, nothing, God knows. But they are predicting it, the minimum rain. Today's discussion will be the pit bike. Some of you guys like this pit bike. Some of you guys really dislike this pit bike. But that's what today's talk will be on. And just a quick review. That is the second pit bike in the Hoard, China pit bike. There's the first one. The first one is a Speed, defies gravity with a Lifan engine on it. Lifan, L-I-F-A-N, Lifan, I guess, engine on it. This one is an SSR, I believe. This is 125 cc's. It was a Craigslist deal. I paid $80 for it. I got it in. I got it running. Right now the carburetor's off it, but I did get it running, and it ran good. Wasn't idling very good, so I'm still trying to sort out the carburetor and gasket type situation with the spaces and so forth. But the engine does sound solid and all, so I am moving forward with it. And at this point, I have just about everything to correct the back end of it. And a quick review of the back end. Obviously, the back suspension is off. The back, I don't know, what do we want to call these things today? Wheel assembly is off. And when I bought this bike, this is what they had for the pivot axle, the hinge for the suspension. And this is what they had for the back bolt. And to go further, there was a couple of Craftsman sockets here and here for wheel spacers. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to help this thing recover from the excellent mechanic work that was done to it. Also, this is the back wheel that was on, and they normally don't space bearings out like that. For anybody who gets involved with these pit bikes, it is very, very common that the back wheel has problems. I've seen them, people trying to sell them with broken spokes, bared bearings, or quite honestly, no back wheel. And as a matter of fact, this one, before I bought it, he went through the trouble of telling me, oh yeah, I just replaced the back wheel. It's a common problem. So there we are. Back to the back swing arm. The front part of the back swing arm is okay, and I do have the proper bolt to go through here. The bushings are good. I have nothing to worry about here. But where the back wheel goes, from using this boogered up assembly, you can see the kind of trouble they made, right? See how it's all pushed in here? I think you guys could see it. Right, see how that's all stoved in? So what I did is, let's get this off. It's not like I'm going to use this bolt again. But, so what I did is, to get this to come back out again, and yeah, I think you guys could see that's pretty flat, and I think you guys could see that that's pretty stoved in, and it's stoved in on both sides. And I started to work that side out too. Fairly easy to fix it. What you do is you get a piece of metal, just a flat piece of metal, and you keep turning this over because it gets pounded pretty good. Put it down in there, just like that. Take a shaft like this, something long enough, go completely through, and start going, wonka wonka. A little easier if you have two hands, obviously, and you kind of pound it back into shape. one other thing I have to tell you about. The back wheels and back wheel bearings come in two different sizes. The axle and bearing that goes in here, they come in 12s and 14 millimeters. This is an example of the 14 millimeter one. This bike, right, so this is the 14 millimeter one. 14 millimeter fits through that axle. 14 millimeter, no fit, right? So, here's what I'm thinking happened with this bike. Another autopsy, right? Why was this bike retired? I have the feeling, because this is a new back wheel and a fairly new tire. Well, it's particularly a new back wheel, so see how all nice and blue it is there? I think what happened with this is, for whatever reason, they took it apart and they planned on changing out the back wheels. And when they did that, somehow they ended up with the wheels with the wrong size bearings in them. The swing arm, the bearings wouldn't fit through the swing arm. I don't know if the person then gave up on it, sold it, however it went wrong, but whoever bought it next started to really cobble things together. This was never completed, the wheel swap. They never went through the trouble of getting the brakes for this. I mean, there's some scrapes from coming on and off, but from the looks of the threads and all, I'm not thinking they ever put the back disc on this thing. Just to give you guys some ideas, wheel, tire, and bearings, you can buy them $50-$60. eBay delivered to your house, not that big a deal. But then you have to hope that you still have the sprocket, right? Well, the sprocket and the disc. They'll run you $20 to $25 more a piece. The bearings are $6-7. The axle is, with the spacers, another $20. So if you have no back wheel on your bike, if you buy one of these, no back wheel, right? Let's do the numbers. 50 and 20 and 20 is 90 and 20 is 110. Plus what you put in here costs you about $120 to put a back wheel on one of these guys if you're missing everything. In my case, I got the wheel and the sprocket, no disc. Obviously the bearings are shot and I didn't have the hub, so I'm tying some money up in here. I also didn't have the front swing arm, axle, shaft, whatever you want to call this. So I had to order that too. While I've been involved with these pit bikes, I've been finding them and I can get them fairly reasonable without a back wheel. So I was cruising around on eBay and I found this back wheel assembly. This was a $77 deal delivered right to the house. Came with the spacers, came with the axle, obviously the sprocket, and the disc in the back. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I think this is a 12 also. Yeah, looks like a 12 also. So I have, or a 14 also. So I have two 14s now. This 14 and that 14. That doesn't look too healthy. I wonder what the heck was going on there. If he overinflated it, or what the story was. because it doesn't look too healthy here. Tire is a little too hard. I'm going to pull some of the air out of it and hope it settles back in. He might have overinflated it to get it to seat and never dropped it back down. So, the back wheel, axle, spokes, they seem to be somewhat of a weak spot on these things. It's probably, especially, they do have enough power where they're interesting to ride. So if you put your teenager on there, especially as they're getting a little bigger, right? Teenagers have a tendency to grow like weeds when you get to be that 12, 13, 14. And it does have enough power that they can start running it over jumps and everything else, and it won't take long to beat them to death. These are the sprocket or the spacers they used, Craftsman sockets. At least they used good sockets, and they are 6-pointers. I prefer 6-pointers. So, heck, somewhere between $2 and $10 worth of sockets they threw in there. I guess my purpose of this video is to show you the rear ends, show you the assemblies, talk a little bit about the different axle sizes, right? 12 and 14. You want to figure that out before you order a new axle, before you order new bearings, and you will at some point if you have one of these and you run it for any amount of time. It will be an end-of-life situation. You will end up having to do something with that. I'm also telling you, you can get the tire and wheel assembly with the hub, the bearings, the whole bit, but you don't get those. So for $50, if all you did was blow out your back bearings or strip out your spokes, it's not in too bad a shape. But do yourself a favor, don't take it apart and start losing things. The back disc brake assembly, this one has a front intact, but the back disc brake assembly, they are available, and the whole shoot and match, it's actually a foot brake and all. The whole shoot match for that assembly is approximately $50, and then the handle is yet more money on top of it. So one could see very quickly how much coin you could tie up in one of these pit bikes. And once again, it's running beautifully. It's just weeble-wobbling a little bit, right? So you can throw a lot of money into these. Depending on how far you let them go with bad bearings, then you start doing things like throwing the chain, damaging the case, damaging the brake assembly, right, and all that other kind of stuff. So if you feel trouble in the back there, you probably want to do something about it sooner than later. Anyway, I hope this helps you guys. Anybody who picks up a pit bike, helps you guys take a look at the pit bike and check the back end. And when you do check the tail end, do realize it's not a free fix. You are going to tie up some coin there. They do sell spokes. So theoretically, if all you need is spokes, you could take this all apart and feed the spokes through and put them on there. Obviously, they come in different lengths, so make sure you get the right ones. Then it's just labor. The spokes aren't that expensive. But once again, start counting them up. If they're only $1 each, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You go around the thing, multiply it by 2 because of the other side. And if you got to pop for bearings, it might be cheaper to just buy a whole wheel, tire, tube assembly, right? For $50. Get the whole assembly for it. So, I mean, be thinking about that as you're going, oh, all I need is 2 spokes. Well, I could use a back tire. And the bearings are a little weak. You know what? You might be able to just do up the whole thing and be done with it. Alright folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want you all to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and please get out there and enjoy all your days. Don't get yourselves tangled up in an ice storm or anything, especially folks up north from me or up at a higher altitude than I am. Alright folks, take care now. Once again, thanks for watching and commenting and subscribing. Bye.